In this video, I go over the first steps I take each time I start a new session. Hi, my name is Brad Sanders. I'm a drummer, songwriter, and audio engineer, and I experiment on a daily basis with the tried and true drum recording techniques, as well as explore new ideas. If that is interesting to you, subscribe and stick around. Step one for me is tuning. I always consider the track that I'm working with, and I want to get the drums sounding as good as possible right out of the gate. And I come in here and I start thinking about the track, going, okay, are we working with a country song, a rock song? What type of rock song? Is it requiring me to tune the drums up way high, kind of like a classic sound, like a Glenn Johns thing? Or is it kind of more like thuddy and big? And this time I'm thinking middle of the road, so I tune the drums middle, not too high, not too low. The bass drum is wide open, and it's still kind of thuddy because it's tuned a little bit lower on the batter side. I didn't want too much boominess from it. I wanted a little bit more punch. And the snare drum is probably about the same, medium high or so. Again, that's the mic that's picking it up, so my apologies if it sounds crazy weird. That's the first thing I do. I always consider the song first and then tune accordingly. The next thing I consider are the microphones. Am I going to mic the whole kit, separately, or am I going to do a Glenn Johns thing? How many microphones am I going to use for this thing? And for this one, I wanted to have a lot of control, so I decided to mic everything separately. And I'm using Sennheiser 421s on all the toms, and the measurement for the toms, I use my hand. That's the distance up from the head, so I just put my index finger right there, just make sure everything's matchy, and yeah, and then I point the microphone towards the center of the drum. So it makes it pretty easy. Same thing for the snare drum, using an SM57, tried and true microphone. And on the bass drum, I'll show you what's going on over there. Okay, this is a pretty common microphone. It's an AKG D112. And I try to place it about midway in and point it towards the bat, or where the beater hits the head. And that's about as easy as it gets right there. Sometimes I place it inside the bass drum to get a lot more attack. But for today, we're going to try this. So that's that. Easy peasy there. And then with the Yamaha SubKick, I try to keep it about 6 inches or so away from the bass drum head. There, towards the center of the drum. This is a 14 by 24 Tama Superstar. It's all birch shell, sounds fantastic. Wide open, and there you go. For the overheads, they're WA-47 Juniors, and they're 47 inches to the center of the snare, so 47 inches, 47 inches, and they are 44 inches apart. And then the microphones are going into my Universal Audio Apollo X8P, and then I'm connecting that into my new Mac Studio. Okay, next up, let's jump into the DAW and get a new session started. Okay, let's open up a new session in Luna. Start from scratch here. All right, everything's good. 8 tracks, create 8 tracks. And let's use that. Mono, hit OK. And then I name them overhead left. I start with overheads. Overhead right, overhead right. Kick. And then SubKick. Snare. Tom. Floor tom 1. Floor tom 2. All right, so let's set the inputs. And so overhead left is 1, overhead right is 2. The kick is on 3, the SubKick is actually on 8. I do this from memory. Wait, kick is there, SubKick 8, okay. Snare is 4. The tom is 5. Floor tom 1 is 6. Floor tom 2 is 7. And there you go. Okay, so the next thing I do is I set, because I know it's going to be a couple of guitars and bass, I set those up next. Let's add guitar 1 left and right, guitar 2 left and right, bass, so sounds like 5 to me. Let's do that. And for these guys, I'm going to do guitar 1 left, guitar 1 right, guitar 2 left, guitar 2 right, bass. And I'm going to put Neve amps on these guys, or not Neve, I'm going to go API. And turn them down a little bit because they've been kind of hot lately. 36 might be my guitar, who knows. When I've been recording with API preamps, I'm noticing that they're super loud, so I'm turning them down a bit. Let's go 36. But I love the API sound on guitars. That's fine. Oops, what did I do there? Did I skip one? Hi, I'm new. Feel like I only did I do the first one? Was that the problem? Okay, that's the problem. It's like perfect. Okay, and for the bass, I'm going to go Neve. Where's my Neve? There it is. And jump up to about 35. Okay. The next thing I do is I jump on the drum set and check the levels. Now, let's see what needs to be turned down, what needs to be turned up. Snare is definitely quiet. That's pretty quiet, that's pretty quiet. These could probably come up. Tom is not too bad. I could probably use a little juice. Snare is definitely too quiet. So let's raise that up to about 20. And then the tom, let's do 20 as well. And then floor tom, yeah, probably even do more than that. And just from experience, the floor tom 2 always needs a little bit more juice. And I don't know if that's because of the size of it. It's an 18, it's a 18 in diameter, 16 deep. And I've always wanted to check out a 14-inch deep. 18 diameter, 14 deep, because I feel like it would jump out. The note would be louder. It's just a theory. I haven't tested it, but someday I will. All right, so let's at least hear what this sounds like as is. Let's see, let's jump right here. Yeah, okay. I can live with that. And that's without panning or setting levels, so, or I mean, you know, faders. Everything is at unison, so. All right, let's raise that snare drum a little bit. We already did that. We're good there, so let's do another run. Okay, totally live with that. Next up, guitars. So this is the actual track that I'm going to be working on. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just do one pass through, and the levels seem decent. Let's see what that sounds like before we move on. Cool. Let's move on to, let's pan this first. Pan this right. Let's try that again. Now, melody. Let's do that again. Alrighty, moving on to bass. Excellent. All right, so we've already set the levels for the drums. Now we can get on the drums and track. So let's do that. Now let's see if everything is playing nice together. So this, what I'm doing right now, is getting into what we're going to get into in next week's video. But I'll do a very small amount right now because we can. Just doing some panning of the toms. Doing some levels here. And okay, so there we go. That is the very start of my day. That's what I do every single day. Let me move this camera because I can't talk like that. I feel like I'm being all weird. Okay, so can you see me now? Okay, so that's the beginning of my day. Every single day I do the same thing. It starts out with tuning the kit for the song, making sure that the microphones are doing what I want them to do, and deciding on, Glenn John's technique or miking everything. Those are my two go-tos, mic everything or Glenn John's. And then getting the session started, setting the levels, and getting the panning going, and start tracking. So that is step one. What we will be going into in the following weeks, next week I'm going to go into actually starting to mix. I'll continue on with recording this track, so we'll have something to mix. And then it gets into the mastering part of it. So yeah, we're gonna dive into mixing, which means I'm gonna be going over all the plugins that I use and all of that. So that's next week. But anyway, thank you very much for staying along with this long. I mean, this is a long video. And I was planning on doing the entire process in one video, and I was like, no, this is going to be a 3-hour video. And so, yeah, I decided to break it up a little bit. Anyway, thank you very much for being here, and I will see you next week. All right, have a great day. Bye.